Hi, so welcome to our first Cosmic Cafecito astrology talk. Today we're going to be talking about something very interesting, um, AI and the trend that it's being used as a therapy tool, consultation tool like astrologer, and even as a tarot reader. And we wanted to talk about how this is developing and how we see the influence in specific generations that are using it the most, which is the millennials and the Gen Z. So let me introduce myself. I am Astro Chris, and my co-host here is
So I'm Amber and I am a therapist. I'm also an astrologer and I'm here today with my teacher, Chris. So thank you for having me.
yes. So hopefully we have many more of these little segments on things that topics that interest us. And I love that Amber, even though she's referring herself as my student, she's an astrologer. She's very versed, but she also brings a lot more skills as a therapist. And this was a topic that we were discussing one time. And we're like, hey, let's just talk about this because we're seeing this trend more and more of the new generations or the younger generations using artificial intelligence and not just like to create, agendas like for productivity or anything like that, but they're using it for emotional support, spiritual insight, and self-reflection, which I feel there's like a catch 22 because um I'm also a big fan of ChatGPT and all these AI tools that are coming out, but we do have to use them with a little bit of a caution, but not to scare off from what they offer either, because I feel that they're very beneficial. So I know we've had like in the past, like a lot of people asking, um, questions on like, the dangers of AI and how it's going to develop. And also others, pondering on, the good things of AI. And I think this is one topic that is very sensitive because of the power of AI's influence. And back in the days, what we used to do traditionally is ask our friends or families, or even, the more, I guess we can say the more advanced method would be going to a therapist, right? That was back in the days, but now we're kind of seeing this switch where more people are asking chat GPT instead of relying on maybe a friend's opinion or the best one, a therapist opinion, because sometimes your friends could also be giving you wrong information. So they might not be the best, but I feel like a therapist, because of their training, and especially if you get a therapist like Amber, who also practices spirituality and is very versed, you're gonna get a whole different high vibrational perspective. Something that I feel like AI really can't do. But I mean, it can do a lot of things. It can interpret birth charts. It can pull like a tarot card, like, hey, I would need a message. It could do a lot of things. It could give you advice on, situations and circumstances in your life that you want deeper insight. But where is that line? Like, where do we draw the line?
Mhm. Yeah, I completely agree with everything that you just said. I think therapy and astrology are both tools that people use to make meaning of their lives. And I think that because we're seeing this increase in the use of AI, like on daily use for emotional matters, to seek counsel, to seek advice, we have to talk about it, right? Like I rather my clients come and like, how are we using these tools? Like let's bring that into the therapy room or let's bring that into our reading because the reality is, even for astrology, like you can put your chart, your birth info in there and like it will give you all this information. So I think there's a way to have conversation, be curious about it and see how are we using these things? Maybe are there some limitations? And I think that's where my background too, and I'm a systemic therapist. I'm very relational, right? So I'm looking at all the different parts of your life. And if spirituality and astrology is one of them, amazing. Then we're very aligned. We can incorporate both of those things in therapy. And even when they're not, like, what are my clients going to AI for? Like, I want to know so that I can help them. Is there a way that I can tell them, hey, maybe when you are seeking advice on AI, like, this is a better way, or this is a way where you can get some of the answers while understanding some of the limitations of it.
Yes, yes. And now that we're shifting into, well, as we're recording this, Uranus is still in Taurus, but it's at that critical 29 degree. And we know, even when AI, like ChatGPT, was released, Uranus was still in Taurus. So that's going to be the vibration that ChatGPT has. However, um, the evolution, as you know, whatever was born is evolving and changing. We're seeing Uranus go into this energy of Gemini, and I mean, AI is just gonna boom with Uranus and Gemini. There's no ifs or buts about that. Gemini is intellectual. It's the first air sign and it's mutable air, so it's changeable. So very curious. That's why it's being represented by the twins, right? And the twins are in some depictions they're playing with each other. I mean, the mythology of Gemini, the same thing. So we have Uranus, which is the higher mind. It's actually like the interconnected network, but without a center. So it's how like everyone connects with each other, yet there's no central like hub or area that's reigning over. It's like just how community could be all one, and how we can also think as a collective, right? So we're having the planet that rules at Uranus go into the sign of Gemini, and Gemini is also influencing technology. So does Uranus, because Gemini is more practical in its technology, but Uranus is more the higher purpose. Like, how does humankind benefit from this technology? So we're seeing this transition, and I think, as you know, whenever planets are in the later degrees of whatever sign, they start influencing the handoff sign. It's like that running that marathon, right? You have the baton, and then you're going to eventually hand the baton to the next sign so it can keep on going with the evolution. That's what we see Uranus. And actually, Uranus already dipped into Gemini, right? It retroed back to
Hmm.
Taurus, but now it's going to be solidly in Gemini. And we're just going to see a whole unexpected boom in
Hmm.
technology in all areas. And we know this, but specifically, what we wanted to talk about was how it may try to replace the human experience you get with a therapist, but it shouldn't be the case. I really do feel AI has a lot of benefits to
Hmm.
help you with, little questions here and there, but I still value a therapist, an astrologer, counsel of sorts, anyone else to kind of give you a different opinion. So it could be a well-rounded, grounded opinion, especially with things that are more sensitive. But I mean, not to shy away from using AI, because I use it and I love it. I mean, I've used it for all these things, for to interpret stuff, to get answers. Um, Amber and I were just talking about me transitioning to being a like full teenager mom. Like, I had a teenager and then I had one that was preteen. Now both of them are teenagers, and I'm learning to be a different type of mom. And she gave me some cool pointers and mentioned, hey, you should try this approach and just type it in so it can give you some ideas on how to like have like this conversation with your son. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. What did you mention it was?
Narrative therapy.
Narrative therapy.
Hmm.
So, of course, I go to Amber for more practical advice, but there she goes. She's also incorporating the AI tools, because we can't ignore them. They're there. They're there for us to utilize. Yet we do have to have that, that line where we draw on when when we have to be careful with it. So,
Hmm.
I think before we go into like the real AI nitty gritty, maybe we can talk a little bit about Uranus going into Gemini. I can talk about that, and then Amber, do you want to do like we take turns? Like, I can start off with Aries and then you go to Taurus on how they're gonna feel the influence. Yeah?
Yeah, that sounds
Okay,
good.
great. So, yeah, as we're approaching this Uranus transit into Gemini, I mean, we're gonna see a lot of breakthroughs and innovations and, just disruption in what we feel that is normal now. And I mean, there's nothing to be scared of. I am actually very excited about it.
Hmm.
I love air energy, and I think it's because I don't have a lot of air in my chart, so it really balances. So air years to me, I feel like they balance my life a little more. I mean, since Pluto's been in Aquarius, that was a big relief because I have a lot of water and earth and fire in my chart. So Pluto coming into Aquarius kind of, lit my fire a little bit. And now we're going to have another planet joining air. And generationally, this is going to impact us. So we're going to have this big shift. Like we're going to feel this big shift because we were both experiencing a lot of grounded transition, right? Pluto being in Capricorn, which is Earth. And then now Uranus was also in Taurus, which is Earth. And both of those signs moved into air. So I can't wait, honestly. I'm excited. It relieves a lot of my chart. Maybe other signs are not going to feel, um, they're going to feel a little bit more pressured if they have a lot of air in their chart because it's just going to be too much air, I guess. But the first ingression that we saw from Uranus going into Gemini was around July 7th of 2025. Then it retroed back into Taurus around September 7th of 2025. And now it's going to re-enter Gemini April 25th of 2026, and it will stay in Gemini until May 22nd of 2033. So we're going to have a good 7 years of rapid change in communication, information systems, and the way that, we relate to each other. Because Gemini is the relational, like the friendly relational sign. So, you want to talk a little bit about the Uranus symbolism or
Yeah, well, I think what's important to point out too with Uranus is that even though Uranus is like an outer planet, and yes, he will be, these changes that we're going to see are going to happen over the span of 7 years. I think what's interesting about Uranus is that it's also associated with personal revolution and individuality. So it's interesting because even though we're going to see like a collective shift, we're also going to see this like on a personal level as well over the span of 7 years.
yes. And I think that's the thing that I was excited about the most, right? Like
Mhm.
the expansion that we will do individually as humans and how we'll also experience it collectively. But again, it's always individual. Like the individual experience is just the most amazing one, right?
Mm.
It's yeah. So okay, let's start with Uranus being in the sign of Aries. So if you are Aries, sun, moon, or rising, and the rising being the most impacted because that means that we're taking the time that you were born and the planet that is transiting a specific house. So you can always check your chart, but you want to see the perspective from your moon and your sun, or even a stellium. Like if you have a stellium, a bunch of planets in one sign, you can also see the perspective of that planet to that sign. So you just kind of apply the sign that it is, and then we are already giving you the interpretation, like the relationship between that sign and Uranus, the Uranus transit. So starting with your sun, moon, or rising, if you're Aries, this is transiting your third house. So you're going to have new ways of thinking. This is rapid changes in your communication style, in your interest and how you learn and how quickly you learn. Honestly, if you're Aries rising, sun or moon, if you wanted to take a short course or like a certification of sorts, and maybe you tried before and you just didn't have the bandwidth or the concentration to finish, you will have it when Uranus is transiting your third house because Uranus is rules the higher mind. So it might help you grasp things a little bit more clearly. It's like those books that you read it the first time and you thought you understood everything, and then you love the book so much you read it again and you're like, wow, why am I understanding it more now than I'm reading it the second time? This transit can give you some insights. It's also good for traveling and exploring. Now, a little bit of caution, because Uranus will influence your friendships and how you relate to others, like close to other your neighbors and everything. They might be a little quirky or off or unpredictable sometimes. So just kind of be mindful of that and compassionate towards that. But that's really the only thing that I see as a challenge, when Uranus is transiting the third house and how it influences. Other than that, I feel it's like very beneficial because the higher mind is just on fire.
Mm. Yeah. And then if you're a Taurus, sun, moon, and for rising, this is going to happen in your second house. So there's going to be a shift around your values, your value system, right? Maybe some changes to your finances, to what you consider materially, I guess, of value. And it really is going to bring up like a redefining of your worth and also kind of like changes, right? Like in this area of your life, whether it's financial, the things that you find value in, your self-worth, those things are going to be reshaped and redefined right now with Uranus entering the second house.
Yes. Now, Gemini, I think you have the most major influence because Gemini is, if you're a Gemini sign, sun, moon, or rising, that's your first house. So this is your identity evolution. Actually, I have a lot of clients of mine that, when they stumbled upon astrology or learning astrology, they had a major Uranus transits, and this is one of them. Uranus being in your first house is going to introduce you to different ways of coping, thinking, communicating, relating to the world, because this is you, this is your life path. So you're going to really reinvent your communication style. You're going to be experimenting with who you want to be in the world, how you're expressing yourself. You're going to have multiple interests because Uranus, like I said, it does something to the higher mind. So it's like multitasking on steroids. And your vision is just like, I feel like the Uranus transits give you, they shake things up, they shake your foundation up. So the way that you see things, your perspective, your vibration, your conscious awareness, all that gets evolved. And most of the time it's for the benefit of you. Now, Uranus also can seem a little bit, it could give you a lot of nervous energy, or nerve wracking, or unstable. And some people experience that when they're trying to still control the change. So my advice to you is just go with the flow and learning breath techniques that's gonna assist you with the excess energy, learning to meditate, or even taking some type of mindful exercise courses like Tai Chi, Qigong, or yoga, Pilates, things like that. So, like that, you can kind of neutralize the energy. But Uranus in the first is very exciting and you're going to feel it for sure. And Amber here, she's a Gemini rising. So, how do you feel with this transit?
Yes, definitely mixed feelings. I'm a little nervous, but definitely more excited. I love how you are recommending like these tools. They're really promoting mindfulness, which makes sense, right? Especially if we do feel some of like that nervousness or like wanting to kind of multitask all the time with that Uranus coming into the first house. So that's something I would even recommend to clients is like mindfulness tools. I recommend those all the time. So if I look at their chart and I see, okay, this is where this Uranus transit is going to happen for them, it makes so much sense to recommend things that are kind of going to ground them during this time. Which I guess then also brings us to Cancer rising, right? The 12th house. That's going to be interesting because it's the house of the subconscious mind. I think in this house, it'll be interesting to see how it impacts people, like on a psychological level, because it's the house of the mind, it's the house of things you can't see, it's the house of dreams. I think for this house as well, I would recommend tools that also promote like mindfulness, whether it's keeping a dream journal during this time. Uranus might bring some crazy dreams. Maybe some of them kind of even lead to like revelations. Maybe some of them are just you can't really make sense of them. So that's definitely a tool that I would recommend to clients. If you're Cancer rising or you have Cancer placements, Uranus is going to be in your 12th house.
Yes, and I love all the recommendation tools that you just spoke of, especially since you just are finishing this transit because
Hmm.
your 12th house is Taurus, so Uranus was in your 12th house, just like these Cancer folks that are going to feel it. So these are some of the strategies most likely that you used when Uranus was in the 12th. And another one, most importantly, is that you started learning astrology.
Exactly. Yeah, when you were saying that, I was thinking about that too. And again, the house is connected to even like kind of spirituality as well. And towards the end of that, you were talking about when it's kind of getting close now to entering Gemini again, I started to have those dreams. And that was a little bit too on the way that I was aspecting other things in my chart, but that is one of those things that Uranus will do to you, right? Like that mental restlessness, some of those crazy dreams. So, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, now moving on to Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and that's my ascendant. So Gemini is now going into the 11th house, and I'm super thrilled, super excited. I said Gemini. Uranus is now going to the 11th house, which is Gemini for Leo risings. That's what I meant. Um, and I'm excited because that is natally the house that Uranus influences over, the 11th house. Obviously, as a Leo rising, your 11th house is not Aquarius, it's Gemini, but it's still an air house. So you're going to see a lot of developments in how you will want to communicate with the outside world. And I really feel that that's probably why, too, when I was introducing this topic, I'm like concentrated on the collective, the collective, the collective, because that is literally where my mind's going. It's gonna affect my collective perspective, right? Because it's going into the 11th house. And I just can't wait to see how it develops in how I, you know, blend in or be a part of these communities and collaborate and see networking opportunities because that's what Uranus brings when it's in the 11th house. But most importantly, that I see the 10th house is your career or your legacy, but the 11th house supports the 10th house. So the 11th house is also talking about the monies that you can generate through the career, through your life purpose, through your legacy. It's also tied into the stock market and investing long term and retirement and all that stuff. This is why too it's tied into the later years of us, finding more clarity or more perspective in the meaning of our life. So you're gonna see some developments there too. Maybe even try to dabble with learning a little bit more about your investment opportunities or retirement opportunities that are more long term, nothing short term. This is more long term, but it's going to give you a different perspective.
I wonder if that might even bring in some kind of like invention type energy, like even in the use of technology there, like more innovative use, right? Like whether it's like you increase your usage on apps in the way that you connect with people, if it's like even when you mingle, when you're like just kind of building community, is it going to be through technology platforms? Like because Uranus is associated with that house and that's the house of technology. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yes, I'm so thrilled because Uranus has been in my 10th and I utilized it in my 10th. However, I just want that the transition into my 11th. And yeah, one of them too, like you said, how we incorporate these tools, and even how you can do it with so it can help you like facilitate what you do in your career, you know,
Mhm.
that too.
Yeah.
Great.
Which
Hmm.
Yeah, which then brings us to the 10th house of your Virgo rising or Virgo sun moon. This is going to be changes related to your career, your legacy, your reputation, kind of like what people know you for. So, whether that's like changing maybe your career path a little bit, reinventing the work that you do, whether that's AI, how we're talking about influencing the work that you do, or even like kind of having to adapt to your work environment, utilizing more of these tools. Yeah, this is the house of your career and kind of like what people on the outside know you for. So I guess even just Uranus adding its influence there, maybe there's some kind of reinvention where people, your reputation kind of changes and people see you a little bit differently, or you want to make a change that impacts your legacy. Um, would you add anything to that?
Well, yeah, this is the transit I'm just coming out of, and all that I feel that that was the theme of this transit for me. One most importantly is that's when I came out as an astrologer.
Mm,
Um, so I ended up, you know, having seeding the idea that I will be an astrologer and I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna go for it. And Uranus was still in Aries, but I solidly came out when Uranus went into Taurus, um, as an astrologer, and it's been a nice ride. So yes, it impacted the way that I saw the work that I did, and how I showed up, how I innovated, how I changed things. So it was a nice transit for me. However, there was times that I felt like I had a lot of energy that I needed to ground. So I had to increase my meditation techniques. And actually, this is a time that I let go of a lot of unsuited perspectives in regard to my meditation practice. I always believe that when you meditate, like you have to have this clear mind, this clear slate. And when Uranus was transiting, or it's still currently in my 10th house, but when it was like very solid, like right in the 10th house, um, I felt that meditation doesn't have to have this blank state. I was like, no, like who said this, who made this rule? And it really evolved my meditation practice. And then that's when I was able to harness all this extra energy, all these extra ideas, because it was a multitasker. It was a multitasking time. I can tell you that. And it still is. It kind of gave me a different level of perspective of how to multitask, but it also burned me out. And I had to learn to take breaks and meditate and relax and take vacations. And I just came back from a vacation. So, and that's going back to what my sacred space, you know? So, um, it was a nice transit. I did not hate it at all. I think one of the transits that were more challenging for me was when Uranus transited my eighth house.
mhm.
We're gonna have other signs that experience that this time, but I think that was a challenging one. Again, very rewarding, but it did push me to do some work. And the 10th house one, I feel like it was much easier, but it is one of the angular houses and one of the most important areas of your life. So it will bring you epiphanies on your purpose. Honestly, that's how I feel like. And that's what, Amber, you're walking into that right now.
Yeah. And you know what? We met during this transit for you, right? You're
Yes.
in the 10th house, and we met through a social network, through an app on a platform,
Yes.
and now we're collaborating. So it definitely gives that Uranus energy. And
Yes.
especially for us that we're kind of tied to, like astrology, therapy, like kind of I guess like out of the box type of things in our approach and the way that we're even having this conversation and blending those tools together.
Exactly, exactly. Very beautiful, interesting transit, honestly. And I love the way that we met. Um, we met completely on social media, and it was like she's a soul sister from way on the other side of the US. So I'm actually based in Los Angeles, California. And Amber, where are you based?
I'm in Miami, Florida.
Yes.
Mhm.
So we're East and West Coast. Yet we make it happen. We coordinate our times to make time for each other, talk with each other, and expand our perspectives. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful relationship that formed. And I think Uranus gives you those opportunities. Whatever house it's in, it doesn't matter. The theme will be there and it'll give you those opportunities. I came in as a teacher, a spiritual teacher, actually, and Uranus was transiting her 12th house of spirituality.
Mhm.
And from my perspective, I went to teach because that's the what I wanted to be known for, right? Not just an astrologer, but to teach the knowledge that I had been learning for many, many years and even many lifetimes. So, we met with that mission, and now Uranus is changing. So, we're also changing our relationship. Now we're collaborating. So, it's going into Amber's first house, which is a relational house, the I and the we, right? And then for me, it's the networks. So the networks and the central ruling the fifth house. So yeah, thank you for that. Let's see now, Libra, right? We just covered Virgo, Libra, ninth house. Okay, so I feel like Uranus in the ninth house is one of the most enjoyable transits. This is actually really good to learn something different, especially astrology, because Uranus rules astrology. But anything related to technology, anything related to innovating practices, to evolving practices. So you're taking like something that's, true and tried and worked forever, but then you want to innovate it and change it and make it better and help more people. That's Uranus energy. Anyone going to school, college, that's a Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and having the Uranus transit. If you utilize technology, this house feeds into your 10th house of purpose. You're gonna see more alignment in what you do. I've always seen that. Also incorporating innovation in how you're learning or even teaching with innovation, because this is also the house of teaching, being a mentor, things like that. You're going to change your entire belief system. Uranus touching your ninth house will give you this higher perspective, and it's just like, wow, like your belief systems are completely new. That's if you're open to them. Sometimes you can fight that a little because it seems strange or whatever, but I feel like the Uranus transit really helps unlock your point of view, and you get this very expanded, eclectic world view, and you see things from a different perspective. So I'm excited for the Libra Sun, Moon, or Risings, because honestly, Uranus is gonna rock your world. Like you're gonna come out of this transit as a whole new person, like a whole new perspective. It's like you're gonna shed your skin like the snakes, right? You're gonna just be nice and shiny after. So I can't wait for that. I'm actually very excited for you, Libras.
Yeah, that's an exciting one. Like expanding your belief system. It might even be helpful for people who have been thinking of like making changes or have been influenced and like, I'm resonating with this. It'll be interesting to see any clients in therapy if they kind of come in with any like personal revelations related to their belief systems and even opportunities to go and like study these things or to take their knowledge, to expand their knowledge.
When Uranus was transiting Aries for me, that's my ninth house. That is when I was not just learning astrology, I was actually learning deep dive astrology. I had been learning astrology for many years already, but that's when I decided I wanted to teach it. I wanted to be a mentor to others. I wanted to share the gift of astrology. And another thing that unlocked for me during that time is I believed I couldn't do it because of my religious background. I had a lot of things going on with my mom not liking it, not thinking astrology is good, so on and so forth. And I just I couldn't fight it. I had to change my belief system around that. And eventually my mom came around and it was very shocking how she came around. I didn't expect it, but she did. And I came out a whole different person. So yes, you shaping those beliefs and not just shaping the beliefs, like giving you the confidence and the validation that you need to really change your life. Like that transit just, I mean, it's like the best you can have and like knowing to utilize it. So just go with the flow. Like go with it, don't fight it. Yes, your mentality and your beliefs are going to be rewiring and changing very fast, and you're also going to go like teeter-totter like a seesaw back and forth, like is this right, is this not right? But if you really embrace it and honor it, you're going to see that everything kind of falls into place. It's for me, it was one of the most exciting transits that I've experienced with Uranus.
Mhm. Yeah, and that makes so much sense, right? Like it's so much sense. That's a great example. The next house would be the eighth house, which is Scorpio. So the way that I understand this house is the house of like emotional depth. This house is the house associated with your psyche, with personal transformation on a deep psychological level. And so having Uranus here, which Uranus is going to bring about a sense of wanting more freedom, of personal revolution, of personal evolution and growth. I'm assuming that people with Uranus in their eighth house are going to experience even more deeper transformation of themselves, like a deeper knowing of themselves. Kind of like psychological insights will come during this time, wanting to get to wanting to get to the bottom of things, right? Because this is the house that's also like kind of like related to, going deep, going where other places, where other people normally don't go. So I think a lot of personal transformation with Uranus in the eighth house, maybe even some interests in more psychological type of work, maybe even like the occult, maybe even like astrology, just kind of things that maybe you never really kind of pursued for whatever reason, whether it's fear, whether because it's not conventional, but just maybe some sparks inside of you of things that you've always kind of had an interest in. And now during this time, you're going to kind of take the time to explore it further.
Yes, like I mentioned earlier, this was one of the more tougher transitions or transits for me, um, because it is the eighth house, but it was a beautiful gift at the end, because you dive deep, like you dive deep, and I went deep into the occult and spirituality and fears and insecurities and trauma and inner child work. And I mean, I'm gonna say it because I'm not a therapist. If you have Uranus transiting your eighth house, this is one of the times that you want to go pursue a therapist. I actually started going to therapy when Uranus was in my eighth house, and I loved it. I really loved it. The therapist that I found at that point was also spiritual, so up my alley because I didn't just want any therapist, and helped me in every way. And that's when I started the deep healing work, the healing my past traumas, my childhood, connecting to my inner child. Actually, it's the when I actually started doing hypnosis. My first hypnosis was under this transit. I loved it. This it's a Pisces house for me, so it just ties into hypnosis and deep work. Whew. Um, so if you're a Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, I recommend that you seek some type of partnership that's qualified, not just AI, qualified
Mhm.
partnership to help you deep dive with these topics, because it is a tougher transit because of that. Now, on the bright side with this transit too, it brings in other people's money. And this is great opportunities for getting approved in loans, and they're going to be like shocking amounts, because Uranus does nothing but shock you. So if you want to apply for a home loan, things like that, these Uranus transits, especially you have to have it aspected and all that stuff, but you're just going to have more opportunities to attract debt. Some debt is good debt, some debt is not good debt. So be careful. But other people's money, there's magnetism towards. So whether it's a bank lending you money or you or your partner, right? If your partner with someone else, this is a house of your partner's money. Uranus is going to be innovating and impacting that house or impacting that area of life for you. So there are some really good positive influences when Uranus is there. But honestly, for me, it was the healing, and that was like, it humbled me. It really did. So it was beautiful though.
One of the things I also see a lot with that eighth house is when people have placements there, planets there, I see a lot also of like collaboration and they tend to work with others, whether it's like in business or like that kind of partnership. So with Uranus entering there, there might even be like changes. Maybe like
Yes.
their business has been driven or influenced by something and they've kind of been considering making some changes. Like now is probably the time that they might make those changes.
Yes, yes, definitely. Definitely. Now, Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising, Uranus is going to be in your seventh house. And this is the house of how you collaborate with others, how you relate with others, on more of an agreement basis, right? Like a harmonious basis. That's why it rules contracts, it rules marriage, it rules. This is also the house of best friends. I believe, when you have a best friend, they become kind of like your partner, like your spouse. You tell them everything, you confide in everything. So your best friends belong, for me, and I've seen it often, the seventh house. The seventh house really talks about how you partner with these people, right? So Uranus is going to be influencing your relationships in this area of life. And if you're a single Sagittarius, you might see, some unexpected events that bring in a partner. Or if you're even a married, sometimes gives you epiphanies of why a relationship is working and why it's not working. So that's another thing that I've seen. What I would suggest is be very careful with the contracts that you're entering in. Not that things will go bad, more like you want to really be like sure, like don't sign anything without reading. You want to be sure that you're entering into these contracts that later on don't come back and like surprise you, because that's another key word for Uranus: surprises, changing, shocking. And if you didn't read that contract, later on you find out, hey, just say it's a insurance policy, you need to utilize it for whatever reason, and there's a clause that doesn't cover this or that. So you want to make sure that whatever agreements, because this is a house of agreements, you go into, that you are very well informed and versed on them. So like that, you are making like an informed decision, right? You're collaborating correctly. But other than that, I feel like Uranus transits are very exciting when it comes to your romantic life. I think I'm biased when it comes to this because I have Uranus natally in my fifth house. So I love a dose of Uranus in my relationships. I love being spontaneous. I love, taking trips, flying. Like, I just enjoy the Uranus energy. So, your Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, you're gonna have a lot of maybe even like epiphanies are like, hey, I have an idea, let's go do this. And you're gonna have some good times. But it could also shake, if whatever is not in good foundation, it can shake your world and give you some perspective on why it's not working. And sometimes you part ways. So it's a very interesting transit. It's one of the axis transits, right? Like the major houses, the first, seventh, fourth, and 10th. So Sagittarius ascendant, sun, moon, rising will have major shifts in their life for sure with this transit.
Mhm. Capricorn, Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun, moon. So Uranus is going to be entering your sixth house. So the sixth house is associated with work, your daily routines, your habits. So there's definitely going to be some change, some innovation around the way that you do your work, whether it's that your work itself is a little bit more unconventional or there's changes to it, if the schedule flow changes, if the kind of work that you're doing is maybe not so, I would say traditional, like the typical 9 to 5, maybe there's some change around that. Um, this house is also associated with your health. So I would recommend during this time, Uranus entering your sixth house, maybe just kind of like being a little bit more aware of your health, whether it's like just having a checkup, things like that. And also with your routine and your habits, like maybe even incorporating some kind of tools to improve these things, right? Like if it's bringing in AI or bringing in technology to make your schedule run better or to make these things work more efficiently for you. Like that's definitely something that you might see there, like integrating technology into the way that you kind of run your day, like your day to day. What does that look like? If there's any changes you've been wanting to implement, how can you use AI or these kind of technologies to help you kind of get the results that you want to get?
Yes, one thing that came to mind is there's a lot of AI tools, and one that I use specifically, you can take a picture of your food and it tells you the calorie breakdown, the protein breakdown, the carb breakdown. So if you're Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and you want to get into, improving your health, specifically your fitness health, right? Then I think utilizing an app like that will probably assist you, and you will become way more successful in the routines and habits that you want to implement with that technology, because it facilitates how you're going to be tracking, the calorie intake, your macros, and all that stuff. I've actually been using that and it's been amazing. Before we used to have to, before there was, like more like advanced technology, we would have to type it in manually, and I found it so tedious. Like it was helpful, but I was like, you know what? I can't do this. This is too much. This is taking me like 10 minutes to log in all the food. And now I could just snap a picture. It's not 100%. It does, like if just say you have a rice bowl, it's not gonna catch like everything, but I mean, it's way better than you typing every single thing manually. And then some of them help you preset your favorite meals and things like that. So I feel it's really good for changing those health habits. So yeah, thank you for that recommendation, Amber. That's like so cool.
Yeah.
So Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, Uranus is going to be impacting your fifth house. And this is another house that I feel is any planets here in the Dharma houses, they're just fun. So this is a house of creativity. This is a house of romance, the house of adventure. This is a Leo, originally a Leo house. So everything that has to do with just living a very vibrant life is being represented by your fifth house. So now you're having Uranus come here and shake up these norms. You're going to be more creative or have way more creative expression ideas. You're also going to be interested more in tools that help you innovate your creativity, whether it's your art expression or getting into like different medias of expressing yourself creatively, like through the arts, through learning to dance or paint, or even like just say if your profession does tie in with anything like that, you're going to see that technology is going to be your best friend in helping you innovate in that area. The fifth house is also the house of entrepreneurship. I have seen Uranus impact a lot of people to start businesses and things like that. However, my recommendation is just make sure you're well informed, because Uranus likes to start a lot of things and then they go down, like the interest goes down because you were not fully informed. So, but it's okay. Sometimes starting businesses and learning from what didn't work will assist you when you retry again. Just have that mind that it might have not worked because it wasn't fully researched. So just kind of do that, like do that research that you can, or like, learn as you go, using, those tools that Uranus will bring into your life. It's a new perspective in this area. Like you're going to be creating with technology. Now, romance gets impacted here. So I find that, and this is where I have my Uranus natally, and this is also a house of children. Oh yeah, that's a big one. You have
Mhm.
contraception. Contraception, especially if you don't want accidental children, because again, accidents, that's another Uranian word. They bring surprises, right? Unexpected things. So yeah, you want to take precautions if that's not anything you want to experience. But those that have been struggling to conceive and want to conceive, IVF, new technologies around pregnancy, things like that, fertility, hormone balancing, or using different tech to like improve the health around procreation, all up Uranus alley. So something I recommend if that's what you want to do. Um, yeah, I mentioned IVF, right? IVF is a big one,
Yeah.
but now going back to romance and how Uranus impacts romance, I feel like this would be Aquarius is probably already used to this because Uranus rules Aquarius. So you're just gonna see like more of, or you're gonna find that it's more reasonable now, like really dating outside of the norms. Maybe, because Uranus impacts the way that you see romance and dating and how you relate to others on a more romantic level. So, um, using AI or these apps to date. I mean, online dating is not new, but I'm pretty sure you're going to like find something new, like something that you didn't know was out there before, and it's going to be tied in with online dating if that's what you're doing. If you're already in a committed romantic relationship or married, you're going to want to be adventurous with your partner, whether it's traveling or learning things together or being creative together, going out on more dates. Like Uranus just, you know, doesn't keep you, you're not set put. You need movement, you need evolution there. So you're going to see like a lot of, you know, I guess demand to kind of spice up your relationships, your romantic relationships. So I mean, I love it. I have Uranus natally there, and that's what I need. I have to get a lot of variety in the things that we do, right? Like, um, whether it's like, oh, we're going to paint night, or hey, we're gonna go snorkel. Like, I'm always doing like crazy stuff, and that's how you kind of spice things up.
Yeah, and I think that that's a fun one, right? Like all these things are tied to how you have fun, how you experience joy together. So if it's spicing it up, like for sure Uranus is gonna bring new things outside of the box. They're gonna be fun, maybe things you never thought you would be doing before, but now you're gonna be doing them.
Yes, like zip lining,
Yeah.
jumping off a cliff. Yes, I love it.
So after that, we move into Pisces. So Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising. This is the fourth house. So this is the house that's associated where you feel most at home. This is the house of your family, of your ancestry, of your roots. So with Uranus there might be hmm, some change in your home, like maybe some physical changes of maybe you decide like, okay, this is the time that I want to make this change. Whether it's you've been thinking about moving somewhere, it could even be a time of where you find out new things related to your ancestry, or your family members, kind of Uranus bringing some shakeups, maybe answering some questions that you might have had related to those themes. It's also it's also the house that's associated with like your feelings and like your inner way of processing things, I would say, where you feel most comfortable as well. So maybe there is like a shakeup in, the way that you're experiencing these feelings. Um, What else would you add to the fourth house to Uranus there?
Well, I'm a Pisces sun, so I'm going to be seeing this and feeling this from my son's perspective. And I don't know, I've been wanting to buy a motorhome. So so it's like the whole idea of being able to drive my house everywhere, which the fourth house literally rules your house, right? And wheels on a house is like what? Unconventional. That's Uranus. But I
Mm.
have this itch, like I just want to like travel the US and visit all these cool places in the US in the comfort of my motorhome. And everyone around me thinks I am insane,
I think it sounds genius.
but I'm loving it. And I might not do this at the beginning of the transit, but as I mentioned earlier, I have teenagers that, they're going into young adults, and I don't know how much involvement they're going to need from me in the future. And this transit's pretty long. So I might most likely by the end of this transit be a owner of an RV and maybe one summer drive across America and visit all the little places I wanted to visit. So I feel like it's going to impact you like like you mentioned, this is the house of your sacred space, how you come in to process your emotions, your this is your safety. When I don't really like inviting a lot of people into my home because that is my sacred space, and I keep my home very clean of like others' energies, and that's just my preference. I was raised by a mom that loves to throw parties, and we had people at home, like all her family members, all my family members at her house all the time, which I love that too because I'm a Leo rising, but I need privacy. My Pisces sun needs privacy, and I only invite very close people to my home. Um, and I feel like this transit is really going to redefine what you find as your secure base. You're going to really dig in deep on like your heart center, like connecting a lot with that inner child, or doing therapies like that with, that are connecting you with your deep rooted emotions, because this is the house that we root in. And Uranus being there, that's it's not a surprise that me as a Pisces sun, I want to root by moving, by changing, by I don't just want to root down, but yet I do want a home, right, where I'm rooting and I have comfort, but then I'm also being like a nomad. Because that's what Uranus, that's a key word for Uranus, right? Nomad, nomadic. So I think this is one of the most important transits too, like Uranus being transiting your fourth house, because it does the work from the inside out, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah, and he might even like re help you reveal what you've been wanting to express, what you've been wanting to get out, whether it's the things that you've wanted to do or even just expressing the feelings that you've been feeling.
yes, yes. So it's going to impact you, your physical home, your body, which is your home,
Hmm.
and also your family life, like all that, all those areas. It's great for moving, or maybe even unexpected moves, like you've been wanting to move somewhere, but you're close to your family, you don't want to, and then this opportunity pops up. That's great, great investment. Or you just like picture yourself living there for the rest of your life, because the fourth house also talks about how we end our life, right? The rest of our life. So you're gonna get some epiphanies on that. I'm actually excited with this transit. Now my signature, like what I mean with signature is, since we've been talking about sun, moon, or rising, and the Uranus perspective to your sun, moon, or rising, I'm going to have Uranus in my fourth through my sun's perspective. I'm going to have Uranus in my 10th through my moon's perspective. And I'm going to have Uranus in my 11th through my ascendant's perspective. So I'm going to be innovating my what I consider my sacred home, my physical home, my career, because it's the 10th, and also how I then connect to um my networks and also how my career impacts my long-term projected income, or my investments and my retirement. And that's it's so funny. Like I got this idea of like, let me buy a motorhome because it's not just going to start with Uranus in the fourth. Like I picture myself retiring, driving across the nation, most likely with my third RV at this point.
And I love that
I'm
because you're talking about like future forward, right? Like this is not just for now. This is like setting up the future, very Uranus, very innovative, very like long term, right? Like we see these impacts long term.
Yeah, oh yeah. What you experience now and you change now is going to change your perspective forever.
Mhm.
There's no going back. It's like once you learn astrology, you don't unlearn it. You might
And
forget a couple things, but you will never see people the same way. You'll look at them and be like, they are acting like a Capricorn ascendant. It's not even
And it's the same with therapy. Like once you learn certain things, you can't unsee them. Like now you just your self-awareness grows, and now once you see things a certain way, there's no going back.
Yes, like I love it earlier. You were saying, I want to crack the code. I'm going to crack this code that when I get this specific type of client, this is the formula I'm using. Like, I love it. I love it. Yes, you can't unsee it. Like, once you see these patterns, you just can't, you learn from them. And that's what Uranus brings, that innovation, right? Like, so now going into AI and people utilizing this as a therapy tool. I think we wanted to talk about this and like just, a little bit talk like little talk about how we see the benefits and especially in the work that I do and then the work that you do. Me being an astrologer and a hypnotherapist, and you being a therapist, and like you said, a systematic therapist, that you're treating the family and the individual at the same time, and how the system works together. But you were discussing something with me that brought this epiphany of why AI should be something we talk about when it comes to assisting people. Do you want to tell the story about that person that
Yeah,
sought help through AI?
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been a conversation that has come up in therapy with many clinicians. We do know that, our clients are using, right, AI for therapy. Actually, it's the number one reason why people are going to AI is for emotional support. So they're treating it as a therapist, which of course there are some benefits. Some of these benefits are you do get guidance, right? Like sometimes maybe you don't have in that moment, you can't access your therapist, you can't access your friends, like there is somebody, but that's the thing, right? That they're not an actual somebody, it's AI. So unfortunately, we are hearing of some cases where there are clients who are really, really struggling. And maybe even this might be a trigger warning for some, but maybe even, considering suicide. And so there has been a case where unfortunately AI did not provide the support that that individual needed in that moment, and that individual ended up completing suicide. So that is a case, and there have been quite a few others that have been like on the news. They've been receiving media recognition, and again, it's something that now as clinicians we're kind of getting together and we're consulting about how do we kind of, what do we do, like how do we speak about this, how do we consider this like with our clients. So that's kind of like where our conversation started, right? Like I am of the opinion that AI is out there. My clients are going to use it. I'm a realist. I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't exist. But at the same time, I want them to be educated on the limitations of it. Like at the end of the day, this is not an actual person who processes the human experience how we do, right? They don't understand the capacity of emotions, and it cannot provide you with the support that you truly need. They can offer a lot, right? Like on the other side of that, I've given my clients prompts to kind of search up on AI, and I've even told them like, look, when you're asking questions, like if you want AI to kind of give you open-ended questions, reflective questions when we're not together, and you want to bring it into the therapy room and we discuss it, sure. But I think with all of this access, with all of this information comes responsibility and education. And that's truly where I feel like the discussion needs to go on what are the limitations? How do we utilize AI more responsibly, knowing like, the very real consequences that we can see, especially in therapy. And even on the astrology side, I have clients who are going and they're putting in their birth chart. It doesn't always calculate it right? It doesn't always know the right time zone. It doesn't always know, like, it doesn't, it's kind of like you have to know how to put in your questions to get the information. And even with that, there's limitations. There's things that the way that it relates information is very, it's AI. Even though, I guess this is another place that we wanted to take the conversation. Even though AI really gets to know you and it starts to gather information on you and it starts to give you answers, and it kind of tells you exactly what you want to hear sometimes, and it's scary because it's collecting all this data on you, and so it makes it feel like you're actually talking to somebody. But that's a little bit of where I think the kind of the other side needs to be discussed, of like, you think that this AI, there are people who are starting to think that it's like a person. Like, there's information that's coming out on people treating this as like this is their go-to therapist, their go-to best friend, their go-to person. And I think that that's where it's a little bit scary on like, what are the boundaries here?
Yes, that is very true. I feel like, I mean, I love using it. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm.
And I do ask questions, and I mean, but I use my common sense, and um I also am not one that's shy to get assistance from others. So, I use preventative measures to not um get very swayed or influenced by the information that I get from technology and AI. But very true. There's been you know, that example that you mentioned about people just plugging in their information and then they get like the wrong time or the wrong information. Like, it's not always 100% accurate. And as it's learning you and you're asking questions, and it's kind of it's tailoring to you. It becomes like a Libra type of archetype where it partners with you and it tries to harmonize the answers that it gives you, and it kind of wants to tell you what you want to hear, honestly. Um, which I've noticed that I was talking about when Amber told me this. I'm like, it reminds me of this South Park episode that Randy is asking ChatGPT about opening a fried vegetable restaurant. And then the response, like, that is a great idea. So on and so forth. You're going to make a lot of money, blah, 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 blah. Then I asked Amber, like, what do you think, like fried vegetables? And she was like, yeah, no. Like, that doesn't sound like such a good idea. Like, and what vegetable did you think of?
What did I think
Was
of?
it tomato or something? Or like,
I think it was it
yeah.
tomato?
Yeah, and then so I was thinking of like vegetables too. Like, to me, the minute that I heard fried vegetables, it was just like thinking like fried salad and stuff. I was like, like, that is a terrible idea. And I kind of sat with it and I was like, wait a minute, we already have fried vegetables. Like, potatoes are fried. So fries are fried vegetables. So in a way, it's not completely wrong, but the episode made it seem like Randy was dumb. Like, why would you even open a fried vegetable restaurant? But it was so vague in the response. It said, yeah, fried vegetables. Like, potato is a vegetable, and that is a tried and true business model, burger and fries, right? So it's all
Hmm.
about the perspective, like the perspective that you take in the information that you're gathering. You have to kind of think outside the box sometimes too, but yeah, it will definitely tell you what you want to hear. I know that I've had clients that use it for like tarot readings, so they'll plug in a question and then plug in a card, or say pull a card, and then they're getting this advice, and by the time they come to me, they're asking me a question and they're all super paranoid, and I'm like, no. No. Um, Tarot cards are one of the tools that I use, but of course, for me, it's the astrology chart. I go to the transits, to your solar return, to your secondary progressions, your solar arc, and I kind of look at everything and see what's going on. I also find that a lot of the times when they're getting influenced, they're having a lot of the outer planets really hit them hardcore. Like it's the outer planets that are causing them to need these tools, right? And it's out there and it's very easy. I mean, you can just go in there and like, hey, help me out. And it,
Yeah, and it truly just helps like people put words into what they're experiencing, right? Like just by typing it in and getting some feedback. It's like, okay, now they have the words, and that's like one of the things that is helpful. Um, so yeah, like I could see, right? Like I use it. I've Who doesn't use AI? It's kind of like also like you don't want to fall behind either societally because it's like AI is such a huge tool. It's a tool. So it's kind of like knowing how to use it, but knowing how to use it responsibly.
yes, yes, exactly. So that's the message we wanted to convey. Just, using it responsibly and not shying away from the already proven tools that are out there, like
Mhm.
utilizing a therapist, or some other type of person that helps you take a different perspective. Because even with astrology, you can get an astrologer that's not really open-minded or evolved. So we still have to be careful with that. And even therapists, there's therapists that just don't suit you. Like you go and see them, and you're like, yeah, I'm not vibing, you know?
Mhm.
So you still have to vibe with the person, but once you have that person, utilize them. And you might not need them for like every little tiny thing, like how Amber recommends utilizing AI, because we will be in denial and say like, no, don't use it at all. It's like saying don't use a computer. I mean, computers are everywhere now. We already walk around with mini computers or phones, right? They're like mini computers. You can use Word. You can do all, you can build websites on your computer. So I mean, we when computers first came out, if we were to say don't use them, they're going to be outdated or they're going to stop using them, all those people were wrong, right? That's not what happened. It evolved and it became a part of our daily routine. It became the sixth house. We now use computers for everything. So even if you don't utilize computers in your work, or you think you don't, you're using your cell phone. Your cell phone's a new computer. Your iWatch, I mean, it's there. It's not going away. Just like AI, it's not going away. So it's just learning how to use it in a more healthy, grounded way, and being able to discern the information. Really, that's what it is. Like how to discern it. And if you are having trouble, then finding other methods um, to help you discern that, such as a therapist, a counselor, astrology, a friend. You know,
Right.
hopefully it's a good
Seeking
friend.
support. Yeah, seeking emotional support and seeking professional services um when professional support might be needed, Like those
Yes.
are that truly is the limitation
Yes.
of AI.
I agree completely. So that was our talk on AI. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Um, we're gonna try to, get together and just do little podcasts here and there on different topics that we want to bring to the collective. And I hope to hear some comments or opinions in the posts below of what you thought, and we'll be checking to respond and things like that. So I appreciate all of you, and I definitely appreciate you, Amber, to taking the time to record this with me.
This was so fun. I love doing this. We can talk astrology therapy all day.
Yes,
So for
all day,
everybody,
go on tangents.
yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Great. So everyone have a good day, and we will see you later. Bye.